is there some design that you worked on and you worked on, and you really would work so hard that it just never quite worked out?
I brought it with me.
I won't be looking at. If it just doesn't want to be what I want it to be, then I'll just sit back and say, okay, let's see where you want to go. And it turns into something else, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I give up. Well, my traditional work just drives me nuts. The traditional ring chain stuff I design up drives me nuts because right now I need to redo my Karen's Celtic tatting, and I've got some designs designed up, and I've got some pieces I want to change because they're just not, tweak them. But looking at that and the time that it takes is just, to me, an enormous outlay of time. So it gets pushed away. So that's the one thing. My traditional work just.
Well, just very early on, if it's not working and I don't enjoy playing with it, I'll trash it. But if I've invested some time in it, I'll keep going till it turns into something. Maybe not what it started as, but at least have something to show for the work.
I've had designs that I'll put down. I'll start tatting and it's not working. And I'll put it down for 6 months, a year and a half. And somewhere along the line, I will turn a page in a book, and voila, that's it. That's what that idea needed. So out it comes. So I can't say there isn't a design that didn't actually turn out. Some come very quickly, and others you find the way, and it comes. You just be patient.
I've had some patterns that I've been working on for more than 10 years. So if they don't immediately come to fruition, they stay in the back of my brain, they marinate, they ferment, sometimes they putrefy. But you never can tell when you will have that aha moment. And so I don't want to give up on something, but some things take longer than others, just like some seeds germinate more quickly than others. So just be patient with yourself.
Next question? Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, panel. I appreciate it. Real quick announcement. There are lots of people here. We need to be in the cafeteria at high noon. Not 10 after, not 5 after, but high noon. You have 40, well actually it's 11:40 now, according to my watch. Not that I'm the only one. If you do come up with a question or would like an answer to something, they don't bite. They do love to answer questions. They are not shy. Well, they may act shy like Randy, but they are not shy. Yes?
It's not about designing.
Yes.
Okay. Randy, what's the difference between your two self-closing offering books?
What's the
You have
difference
two different
between
books.
What's the difference about your books and your self-closing offering?
The first one was just inspired by the self-closing offering. The second one was inspired by you people that said, what do you do with it? That's the difference between them. The second one is much more basic than the first one.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? They are authors, you know.
Why don't they talk about their books?
Yes, what?
Have you ever designed something or been in the process of designing something and somebody else has designed the exact same thing, or something very similar. Without anybody seeing on the pictures, they put it out there and you're like, oh, yeah. Because I have had that moment. I'm just curious.
Okay, to say something about that is the washing machine patent. It was a difference of 6 minutes of the postage time on the washing machine patent from two people from two different parts of the country that applied for it at the same time.
And the woman that actually made the washing machine was a black woman, and she sold the patent for $5 because nobody would listen to her, so she sold it to a white man. Thank you.
There were two people that came up with Genesis Radio, or radio, at about the same time. I'm trying to give credit, but someone else came up with the idea as well.
I taught a pattern in 2007 that used self-closing mock rings and thrown off rings, and everybody enjoyed it. And a year or so later, it was published in someone else's book, and since the person lived half a world away, I said, you know, law of parallel development. She came up with the idea. She did not know I had already published and taught it. You just let it go.
Yeah, it happened, and you're just like, oh, crap, you know. But I don't publish. I have my little file of things at home. So, and I share things, but you know.
I was in the process of putting out those two split ring books on the quilt inspired, and I went to the Tatting Corner get together, and the big news was, oh my God, there's a quilt book coming out, and I was like, what? I was like, what? Because I'm like, you know, like 90% done with mine too. And I'm like, what? And then I finally there was like 2 copies floating around, and they were like highly coveted. And I finally got my hands on it, looked at it, well, it had a totally different style. I'm like, okay, you know, because I was like, oh man, they're going to think I copied, you know, that I copied it, but I had a lot of work into it by that point.
Well, one time I was thinking about maybe doing a book with a certain theme, and then somebody else put up a picture and thought they were maybe going to do a book with the same theme, but he never did his book and I never did my book, so I may go back and use that idea sometime.
I think that a lot of people have great ideas, and like Anitra and I just spoke, you can be on different sides of the world. I mean, tatting occurred in China and the Orient, and it occurred in Europe, and we don't quite know where, but great minds think alike. Timing and inspiration in the globe, you know, you just find somebody who's on the same vibe line as you, and you go, yeah, all right.
I don't really have anything to add to that.
Any other questions?
Can I just talk about their books briefly, just sort of say what their books are, so we all know?
Would you like to talk about the books that you have? Oh, well, Anitra hasn't published hers. Maybe we can convince her to do that.
I got a title.
Do what?
I got a title.
What's your title?
Tatting for the Birds.
Absolutely. Yeah, for the birds.
Okay, Vicki gets credit for the title, but Anitra gets credit for the book. We have a new book coming out, right, Anitra?
I have a Pico.
You have a Pico?
She does have a Pico book.
No, I have a joint book.
Bonnie named a Pico that I kind of came up with. It's called the Macho Pico.
Martha's got 5 or 6 minutes.
I forgot the question.
Books.
I've got arcs, I've got angels, I've got fantasy things. Teapot.
Squares.
Yeah, quitters, butt padding, toys.
Buttons.
What did I just do? Buttons. It's the one with the buttons that's got hearts and angels and teapots and stuff in there.
A
Mine are all split rings. I'm not sure I even know how to do a chain. I'm not sure I know how to do a chain anymore. So I've just been going from, I started out with kind of writing a definitive book on what is split ring, and then some kind of geometric edgings and little bits of this. And then my second book, I kind of expounded into, I went into like tessellation and putting blocks of color together and how you can manipulate that. All of them have crosses in it. Then like I said, I went into the quilt block thing. So I've always wanted to quilt, but I know I can't let myself go there. But the quilt block book let me go in and study it and look at it and enjoy it, and put that into tatting. So I enjoyed that. So these are all things I enjoy. And then I put together I had more crosses. I put those all, and a few extra ones, and put all the crosses together in a book. And I have a couple Star of Davids in there too. I didn't know what else to do with them. And
That's not an original pattern.
no, here's the cross.
She read it with
A couple
David.
thousand years old, but
But it's in the public domain now.
Oh.
yeah. Then I had fun with snowflakes, so I was thinking in sixes. Right now I'm working on mathematical. I have a whole bunch of Greek keys ready to go. I have had a lot of fun studying and studying and designing those. Next year I'm going to be teaching in Iowa Lie, and we decided on a theme of a tatted bounty. So I have a cornucopia design that maybe you've seen before. And so I've been designing split ring vegetables and fruits. So I'm going to be going in that direction. So it's all about little circles.
The only thing I'm published in is I have a co-author credit in one of Nina Libben's books for a tutorial that I wrote, because I test tat for her and I rewrite a lot of her patterns for needle, and she keeps me very busy. Because a lot of things that she does with the shuttle, when you transfer them to needle, sometimes you have to have a second needle, sometimes you have to find unique ways to use a needle to do all these beads that she does. So that's the only book that I actually have published.
Yay, thank you though.
I've had my patterns published on the Palmetto Tatters CDs, and other than that, I'm a dog in his hunt.
I'm not quite sure what to say. I have 5 books and have about 900 more in my mind. But yeah, just inspirational reason that I bother to take all the time to do that is because of the inspiration of the academy.